Good morning, Honors Science Scholars. It is a virtual Tuesday, and it's going to be a relatively interesting day. We're going to start off taking some notes on physical change and chemical change. So get out your notes. You may have to pause while you're getting your notes out. There's your essential question. What is a chemical change? We need to understand chemical reactions, and chemical reactions are simply rearrangement of atoms to form new compounds. But we have to be able to recognize them when we see them happening in the lab. So that's sort of what these notes are about. So let's start. Oh, come on, let's go here. There we go. We're going to start with this thing called a physical property. We're going to start with a couple definitions. Physical property is something you can measure or something that you can observe, and it doesn't change the substance at all. And then there's that big, huge list there. Oh my goodness, size, mass, volume, magnetism, odor. We can keep going and going. But basically, if you look at all of those things for examples, those are things you can observe or you can measure about a substance. And so that's what physical properties are. Something measurable, something observable. I don't know that you need to write down that whole list, because the list is just sort of there for you to see some examples. Now, here's a definition of a physical change. There it is, the first bullet point. It's a change in appearance. By change of appearance, what's meant by that? Well, there's a change in size, shape, color, state. You don't necessarily get new chemicals. It doesn't involve making or breaking bonds, and you can see some examples at the bottom of the page. The substance really isn't changed. So melting, dissolving, cutting, breaking, boiling, freezing, mixing, any change in appearance will be considered to be a physical change. Next definition. Chemical property. All right, now we're getting to the important stuff. Actually, physical changes and physical properties are important, but when we think about chemical reactions, we need to know about chemical properties. So a chemical property describes how a substance reacts in a chemical reaction. And you can see the first bullet point saying, may change or react to form other substances. It's how it behaves in chemical reactions. And chemical properties, you can observe them when you are combining them with other substances. So that's what a chemical property is. It's how something behaves in a chemical reaction, and the way you observe it is you actually put them in a reaction. The next definition is chemical changes. Now, I have a highly technical phrase for a chemical change. It's in bold. You get new stuff. Or it's in all caps. You get new stuff, meaning that you've got new chemical substances being produced. And our wordy definition there at the beginning, a substance is transformed into a chemically different substance. And what happens then during a chemical change is the atoms rearrange and new substances are formed because the atoms are bonding with different elements or with different ions. And it does involve breaking old bonds and making new bonds. Sometimes these reactions, you can reverse them and get the original stuff back. Other times they're not reversible. And down at the bottom is a list of some examples of chemical changes. And they're fairly obvious. Combustion is the one that's your favorite because combustion involves things exploding and things burning, but other things simply as decomposition or synthesis or rusting, corrosion, digestion, fermentation. All of those things are examples of chemical changes. So guess what? This is it on your notes, believe it or not. What you need to do next is, you need to be doing this. And this should be relatively simple. It's identifying physical versus chemical changes. So basically, what you're going to look at is each one of these is a situation. And in the situation, you have to determine whether you have a physical change or a chemical change. In a physical change, again, it's just a change in appearance. You have the same stuff, it's just altered in appearance. In a chemical change, you get new stuff. So as you're reading through each of the situations, you're just deciding, okay, well, that looks like I've got new stuff. And if you decide you've got new stuff, it's a chemical change. If you have the same stuff, but it has changed its appearance, it's a physical change. So these two things are tied together, the notes and this worksheet. Check the agenda for anything else that you need to do on this wonderful virtual Tuesday. By the way, what I'm doing right now is I'm sitting in room 219 and I've got a whole bunch of, there's exactly 14 kids taking the ACT test. So what would you rather be doing right now? Taking the ACT test or thinking about cool chemistry? All right. See you later.